Welcome. How you all doing out there, everybody? Hey, have you had a good week? Welcome, everybody, to the Marty Cast. I'm your host, Marty, and this is episode 5 of the Marty Cast. And on today's episode, we have seemingly lost a brilliant actor. Sadly, that was Prunella Scales. She was most well known for her role in Fawlty Towers as Sybil Fawlty, one of the best characters on in TV sitcoms globally. Was absolutely brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant in Fawlty Towers. She was brilliant in basically everything, actually, really. But no, she portrayed two of Britain's greatest monarchs on TV, Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II. She was the first dramatic actor to play the latter on television and won a BAFTA nomination for doing so. Scales sadly left us at the age of 93. Knew that the public memory of her would be shaped by another woman who made those royals look powerless, the self-declared domestic and hospitality industry empress Sybil Fawlty, wife of Basil, owner of the worst hotel in Torquay in Fawlty Towers, in which she co-starred with John Cleese, who co-wrote with Connie Booth. This is just coming from the article about her in The Guardian. Though occupying only a few months of work in the 7-decade career that stretched from Lydia Bennet in a 1952 Pride and Prejudice to the cameo in ITV's The Royal in 2011, the dozen episodes of the 1975 and 1979 series of Fawlty Towers have achieved rerun immortality. They've become a template for perfection in sitcom, sitcom writing performances, including Scales. In naming the character, John Cleese brought into play the classical associations of various Sibyls with prophecy, longevity, guarding of the gates of hell, and above all inducing terror in mortal men. Especially effective at the last of these, Scales, an accomplished classical stage actor, knowingly channeled these mythical women. Sybil cowed her husband with what might be called a basilisk stare. The single word of another character's name might not seem the most promising basis for a national catchphrase, but Scales created one from Basil. All professional impressionists and many amateur ones at pubs and bus stops soon had it in their repertoire. Scales was especially skillful in the elasticity of her delivery. Sometimes she barked so hard and fast that Basil seemed to only have one syllable. But elongating words like an opera singer gave Sybil another of her signature tics, the gossipy I know, that would punctuate phone calls to unseen friends. Further evidence of her perfect ear came when Basil was given a line about Sybil's laugh sounding like someone machine gunning a seal. It de facto became a demanding stage direction for Scales, which she pulled off effortlessly. At script meetings these days, there would be concerns about characterization of Sybil being misogynistic and a stereotypical henpecker. And Cleese has said that the first script was rejected by the BBC, partly on the grounds that it depicted a standard marital battleground. In fact, the Cleese and Booth scripts were part of a trend in TV comedy of that era that gave women that to give women strength and agency by dramatizing their dominance over feckless men. Yes. Something a lot of men could dealing with these days is not being so feckless. Yes, indeed. Although it can be a difficult thing to grasp. Scales' portrayal won sympathy for Mrs. Faulty by showing the character's imperious manner to be a reasonable response to the snivelling idiocies and deceits of her husband. There was a deliberate physical comedy in the 6'5" Cleese shriveling to at the voice of the 5'3" Scales. 5'3" Scales. That stature made her exactly the right height for for Elizabeth II. Her portrayal of the current monarch in A Question of Attribution, BBC One in 1981, adapted by Alan Bennett for her stage play, in which he appeared at the National Theatre 3 years earlier, came with multiple degrees of difficulty. Yes. So yes, we lost Prunella Scales, sadly. She played Sybil Faulty. She played Queen Elizabeth II. And I'm sure she played a great many other roles as well throughout her career acting. She left us at age 93 on the 27th of October, so not too long ago, a couple of days ago, maybe 6 days, 7 days at the most. And that's a bit sad. Really, it's not good. But it happens to the best of us. Prunella Margaret Rumney Illingworth. Left us, She was educated at Moira House School, Old Victoria Theatre School, and acted till 2019, which is a very long time ago. She leaves behind 2 children, including Samuel West. I'm not sure who that is. I guess it's her son. Yes. So, rest in peace, Prunella Scales. You've served us well for a great many years of frankly brilliant acting and entertainment over such a long time. Yes. What's next in Marty's madness? So, somebody was asking in r/fridge detective, what does my fridge say about me? I responded by saying I'm not actually sure, but you could put a mic up to it and live stream it, and we'll listen in to hear what your fridge has to say about you. I think that's the only way we will know. Like globally, if you want us to actually know what your fridge is saying about you, then you do need to mic it up, and you do need to say, all right, I'll just leave it alone and let it, it wants to talk some smack, maybe it, wants to get cute, It's like, this lady, she's in here, or this man, or whatever, in here, opens and closes me. Nothing goes out, nothing comes back in. And every other few days, there's more nonsense that's going on. But anyway, so what does my fridge say about me? It's somebody took a picture of their fridge with the fridge door open, obviously, and they have neatly, on display, they have neatly arranged their fridge, bottles of wine and champagne and various other drinks and ingredients. You've got some cold brew, you've got some LaCroix, you've got some Oyster Bay, and there's some Lando Lakes and challenge of some sort, and chicken broth. So what does your fridge? Oh, there's some eggs and some Kikkoman, and some ketchup and some Daisy sour cream. Yeah. I don't know what their fridge says about them. I guess. Yeah. I guess it's just it's a fridge and it's the inside of it, and you like salads and other stuff. I don't know, really. It's just the fridge. I don't really understand why these people kind of concern themselves with that kind of stuff. I think it's a bit strange. Yeah. Oh, there's Winston Peters saying that they are winning the war on woke, which I guess means maybe that he, he's keen to sleep in. I don't know what times Parliament sits. I think it's something like 9 or 10 in the morning till like 2 or 3 p.m. at the most. They don't really, they're not really there for a long period of time when they are in the actual debating chambers. Yeah, so I'm guessing maybe he's pretty keen on sleeping in. Maybe we'll see him showing up in a bathrobe and in a sleeping blind mask, in slippers. You never know. I mean, he is 80. He is a great example of someone who doesn't need to be in the role whatsoever. Such a trough dweller as he is. That it's definitely a great example of someone who needs to who shows us that we need to put an age limit on all political jobs. So if you're over 65, our retirement age is 65, and you shouldn't be able to apply to become a politician or a councillor or a board member at all. And those roles need to be filled by people younger. And that's just it. That's just how it goes. None of this, I haven't saved up for my retirement, so I want to get, a couple of $100,000 out of the government ASAP while I can. None of that. Just, you haven't saved up, that's on you. And I mean, I look at myself and I go, yeah, that's on me. But anyway, I digress, don't I? Hey? So, someone was asking old people, r/old people, did you really walk? Let's start that question again. Did you really walk long distances to school? And someone here has brilliantly answered that they are 54 and they still haven't managed to get home from school yet. They're about 2/3 of the way there. So, yeah, I'm guessing it must have been a snow day when they left. Yeah, and maybe it's uphill both ways. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, there might have been a blizzard. Maybe there was thunder and lightning. Very, very frightening. Who knows, maybe they did the scaramouche, can you do the fandango? Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows what's going on these days? Yeah. I mean, I had a bit of a mission personally when I was when I went to school. I sort of foolishly chose to stay at so I went to 3 different high schools. I went to Trident High School in Whakatane for 3 weeks, and that was okay. And then then we moved to Auckland, and I went from we had a week off. I did nothing, hung out with my mom. And then we went and had a look at a school. It was called Penrose High School. I sort of I guess, chose it somewhat, and that was all right. And it was, it's now called One Tree Hill College, I think. But anyway, it was called Penrose High School, and I went there from third form to the end of fifth form. And we moved from Mangere East, which is a place where I lived with my mother and a few other people, my brothers, and then there was one point there was with, we didn't move in with my mother's boyfriend at the time until we moved into this house, I think anyway. And anyway, then we moved to the North Shore, and I stayed on at Penrose High School to complete fifth form at Penrose High School, and moved to Browns Bay halfway through fifth form, and did 6 months dragging my bass guitar from Browns Bay in a case to Penrose High School, and it was a mission, to say the least. I had to be up and out the door by 6 a.m. and on the bus by maybe 20 past, and then get the bus all the way from there to, I found a bus from there to Newmarket. It was more or less direct, somewhat. It was sort of an express. And then we went from Newmarket, then I caught a connecting bus from Newmarket to Penrose, and that was that. And it was a bit of a mission, but we got there in the end. I went there and I learned some music, and I hung out in the music department an awful lot. And it was a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of like, But nonetheless, I ended up jamming with a guy, not a good guy. I'm sure he's probably got a music career of his own by now, if not a long time ago, he would have started. His name was Ryan. His parents called him Junior because his father's called Ryan as well. His last name's Monga, and Monga. They're like Rarotongan. They're from, his parents are sort of the main core of the band Adija. So I did get to sort of, we did like one song with them once for a talent quest, which was super cool, a great thing to do. His father played the drums for the song, and I tried to, as much as I could, play the bass for the song, and it was super good. His father really taught me about sitting there and paying attention to the kick pedal. I was 15 at the time, okay guys, so I didn't really have a clue about music that much, but at the end of the day, or what I know for a fact is, not just when somebody knows more or has more experience, etc., but just the sheer fact that, it doesn't matter who's talking. What matters is really, are you listening and are you paying attention? And because really, people do have a lot of good things to say that matter the most. In this case, I learned a lot about playing my bass in time with a drummer, and in the case of playing that song, I can't even remember the name of the song, but we sat there and went over and over and over and over it all of the time. And these days, I play to a headphone track when I'm busking, just to keep me in time and as much on tune as I possibly can, with the songs I'm playing. So yeah. What is next on the shenanigans? So there was an article on nature.com comparing the motion of dark matter and standard model particles on cosmological scales. So they talk about here one of the current main challenges of cosmology and of particle physics is to understand the nature and properties of dark matter. In the simplest model, dark matter is made of cold collisionless particles and which interact only gravitationally with particles of the standard model. This so-called cold dark matter feels gravity in the same way as standard matter, i.e. it moves along the same geodesics and obeys Euler's equation. The existence of such cold dark matter particles is supported by cosmological observations over a wide range of scales, from the motion of stars and galaxies and that of galaxies and clusters to the large-scale structure of the universe and the temperature fluctuations of cosmic microwave background. So they mean cosmic microwave background radiation. Or background microwave, cosmic microwave background. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sounds a bit like Alpha Bravo Charlie. So what is Euler's equation? Euler's equation is what is it? EI pi equals -1. So in fluid dynamics, a set of partial differential equations that describe the motion of ideal fluids they are a simplified version of the Navier-Stokes equation that ignore viscosity. Shouldn't really ignore viscosity, because viscosity can change the weight of a in the volume. So Euler's formula. Let's see if we can get here. Oh yes, we can. That's good. So this article is about Euler's formula. Okay, so mathematical constant. So mathematical constant, we have EI equals EI something equals COS plus I sin cos plus I sin, I think that's pi. So basically, -1 is the point between cos and sin. It's the radius of the radius point that's halfway between 1 and 0, or 1 and less than 0. That is between sin pi and cos pi, and pi is the radius. The angle, really. Anyway, so that's Euler's formula. It's EIX equals cos x plus I sin x. When x equals pi, Euler's formula may be written as EI pi plus 1 equals 0, or EI pi equals -1, which is known as Euler's identity. Essentially as frequencies on y and the reflection of y go up and down, we get a circular motion. The visualization of Euler's formula as a helix in a three-dimensional space. The helix is formed by plotting points for various values of 0 and is determined by both the cosine and the sine components of the formula. One curve represents the real component, cosine 0 of the formula, while the other curve rotated 90 degrees around the z-axis due to multiplication by I, represents the imaginary component sine 0. Yeah, so cosine is the actual 0, whereas sine 0 is the imaginary. I like it how mathematicians have an imagination and they bring it into their numbers. Anyway, so since there is no direct observation of such a particle that has been made yet, it is legitimate to question these assumptions in it. Let's read that again. However, since no direct observation of such a particle has been made yet, it is legitimate to question these assumptions and explore models beyond the cold dark matter paradigm. In particular, it is important to test the validity of Euler's equation for dark matter to determine if it falls indeed in the same way inside a gravitational potential well as standard matter. All right then. Yeah. All right, I think that's enough of me trying to sound smart and all this other crap, right? We have page 6 has voted Jonathan Bailey as People. They're reporting that People magazine has reported Jonathan Bailey as the sexiest man alive. That's right, it's not me. I know you're surprised. And that's okay. I'm sure they've yet to discover exactly what a real sexy individual such as myself is all about. Maybe I can send this podcast to the people at People magazine and say, hey, I think you've got it wrong actually. And see what they say. We'll have to see what comes up with that. So Jonathan Bailey, he's an actor who's been in the movie Wicked, which I've not seen. And the news for it is set to be announced on the Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, which is, okay, all right then. He was also in, he was in Wicked, and he was in another one with, he was in Bridgerton. There we go, he was in Bridgerton. He's been photographed wearing some gigantic flowers, and was, that's about it. Past winners include Patrick Dempsey, John Legend, Channing Tatum, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, Denzel Washington, David Beckham, and Matthew McConaughey. So that's that, folks. The sexiest man alive. So getting on to some other shenanigans. Someone on Reddit the other day was saying they think EVs are the new muscle cars. I'm not sure how true that is or how that really works, given muscle cars are kind of about the grunt factor, and it's not just about looking good or going really fast or whatever. It's really also about the fact that you might take like a Hellcat and put a supercharger on top of on the engine and make it even more of a fuel chewer. But I mean, it is what it is, really. But yeah, no. So I just kind of wondered, are we going to see like a BYD Seal versus a Model 3 Tesla? I don't know. What are other electric vehicles are out there that aren't SUVs and don't look like absolute, because that's really where it comes down to as well. As if you want to say something's a muscle car, I think it really should also go back to that kind of slick type of, sedan type vehicle that does look good, that does kind of say power, it does sort of say, it does sort of kind of announce itself. What's going on? Hold on a second, folks. What's going on, puss? Oh, you're right here? Sorry, my cat's right here on the ground. I think she might want to be fed, but she hasn't emptied her bowl yet. So that's okay. She's the cat. See, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Sexiest man in the world. Who's this Jonathan Bailey guy? I don't know what you're talking about. Look at that fringe. I'm just joking, folks. Seriously now? I'm ridiculously unfit. As you can tell. But I can get working on that, and I know that for a fact. Yep. Anyway, folks, so someone else on Reddit was saying that they do wonder why some people talk to their pets like their pets actually understand their full sentences. They said that they caught themselves telling their cat they were leaving the room and not knock stuff over. And the cat blinked as if to say, yes, I understand. Do other people do this? Or are they losing it? Am I losing it? I don't know. I guess in some ways maybe I am losing it. Maybe I am losing it. I don't know. Who knows? Eh? But yeah, no, so, I talk to my cat, nicely, and I also talk to my cat not so nicely. It doesn't mean I yell at her or anything, I just kind of ask her to move when she's standing between the fridge and the cat bowl, and she's kind of getting in the way. Or something like that, and I don't like her running around my feet too much when I'm cooking because I don't want any potential spatter or things boiling over that might affect her or hurt her at all, because that would just be horrible for my little cat. But no, I do talk to my cat about things, and if I go out and I take some pictures of things, say for example the other day, I went up to McLaren's Falls on Sunday, and that was pretty good. I took my brother up there, and I don't think he's been up there before. But yeah, no, so I got some pictures of some birds and some trees and some flowers and stuff like that in the lake, and that was super nice. But yeah, I came home and I showed my cat, and I said to my cat, these are the animals, and these are the birds, and these are the goslings. Yeah, none of the goslings were called Ryan, which is a bit different. I'm not sure anyway. I don't know if any of the goslings were called Ryan, but they might have been, they might have been. That's the thing. I'm not gonna, I'm not just gonna say that they weren't when it comes down to it. But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I did, however, ask my brother that what's the potential with ducks? They could have a meeting. All the ducks in the lake could have a meeting, get together, and at the end of the meeting be like, release the Kraken! Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much that. But no, I got some good pictures of some other birds, baby birds. I got a good picture of, well, an okay picture of a baby pukeko, which is one I've been trying to get for a long time. They're a little bit elusive because you get near any of the wetlands and they tend to disappear, sadly. So they like to disappear into the harakeke, into the flax, which is fair enough. I'm sure they're scared of people and vehicles and all the rest of that business. I would be too if I was small and black and blue and with a little red beak. Yeah, that's just kind of, that's kind of it. Yeah, so this person was saying, do you think pets understand us? I don't think pets really do, but you never know. I mean, I don't know if pets understand short sentences or long sentences, but that's kind of it. All right, Fano. So I was busking last week, having a good old time, and one thing I did do was I occupied some space down at the Mount, which is a place I don't really like to play very often. That's just due to the lack of funds the people who go there and walk around there have, and that's just how that goes. I did play for about 2 hours, and then I stopped because I wanted to watch the performances by a group who were playing on an art installation piano. They were playing on a baby grand piano set up by the Tauranga Arts Festival, which was super good. And yeah, they had a whole pile of local piano students playing the baby grand piano, which was nice to hear. And also one of the organisers actually also played that as well, and I put the video of that on my Facebook and Instagram, both Eho and the Beast and Tauranga Community Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, you can go watch that right now if you want to, or you can watch it after you've finished watching me jibber jabber right here. But yeah, no, so I was busking there, and that was a bit of fun. I enjoyed my little self. There was some people that, there were some young people who seemed a bit oblivious of the situation, where we had quite a few people, 30 or 40 people, sitting around watching the performances on this baby grand piano, while and these young people were riding their bicycles and doing wheelies between the audience and the piano, so in some ways, and so it was not ideal, I would say the least, not ideal at all. But it is what it is, that's just the world we live in. We sometimes get that at the gigs under the bridge. You'll get your gig under the bridge, you'll have, say, somebody playing, and there'll be 150 people there sometimes, and some cyclists will show up, because it is a cycle route as well. They'll show up and they'll get off their bicycles and they'll wheel their way through the crowd, which is fair enough. Whatever, it is what it is. Yeah. So I mean, that area of town under the bridge there has quite a series of uses, whether it's fishing, whether it's cycling, whether it's a sort of ad hoc music venue, or whether it's really some sort of street art gallery, in which case, yeah, it is definitely more of a permanent, somewhat permanent graffiti art gallery. And yeah, I do like to get a nice photograph here and there of some good paintwork, artwork from whoever's been painting in that place. It's good, yeah, and it's good that it's got such a variety of uses. You know, yeah, it's nice. You know, you can go there and fish, or you can go there and paint. I mean, I don't know if it's legal to paint there. I'm not saying you should go and paint that wall, and Marty said do this and that. No, Marty didn't say do this or that. You can definitely fish there legally. You can definitely ride your bicycle there legally. And I'm sure there's not really anyone that's going to stop you from taking a generator and some band gear and setting up and having a jam there. Yeah. So yeah, you could definitely do that. Whether you can legally paint there, I don't know, and I don't think it is really that case. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, I was talking about some busking stories. I went and I played at on the Tuesday. I played a little bit at what's it called? The place I played today, which was the Mount Central Parade Shops. So I played at Central Parade Shops for a while. It was a bit of a challenge. It was a bit windy, but it was what it was, and it was a bit rainy as well. It rained on and off and off and on, and that was fine. And then once I'd made enough money, I figured, and once I'd gotten to a point where it was sunny and I was able to walk home, because it's within walking distance of my house. So once it was sunny enough to walk home and it wasn't raining anymore, because I wasn't going to walk home in the rain, yeah, I packed up and I left. And so yeah, and that was quite good, because when I did get home, and after a little while, it did start raining and windy again, and that was not ideal at all. So I was safe and happy. I'd made about $30 or so. It was 25 or $30, whatever it is. It was a Tuesday, whatever. You know, I'm not, you know, it's pre-payday, so it's okay. I'm not like, oh my gosh, you know, it's fine. It's okay. But yeah, no. So that was that. That was okay. Yeah, dodged the rain and got out alive. And that was all right. I spoke to somebody who had a cute little dog that looked like a sort of a really small husky, a very small husky with a sort of a different kind of face. But yeah, cute as a button, this little dog. And yeah, and I saw him today actually as well. Saw the same guy today. Because this is Tuesday, the 7 day list later. Anyway, and I saw that guy, and he was talking about how his dog was in Auckland, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah, and he was rattling off to me about me possibly playing Bob Marley songs, like One Love, or just stuff like that, you know, kind of unity type music, with messaging, kind of, you know, being happy and such like, which is fair enough. I mean, I could do that. I haven't really learned that song, but I think maybe, yeah, I could definitely put that together and give it a go. But anyway, you know, on the Wednesday, I did my usual. I played out in Greerton, and on that day, an older woman approached me, and she sat down and on a cafe seat, because I played, but like on the end of a pharmacy in Greerton, and then there's like a seat and a table, and then there's the this cafe sort of bakery entrance. And anyway, so yeah, it was all yeah, it was okay. They yeah, so she sat down and then started talking to me after I finished playing one of my songs, and she asked if I could play a song called "Turn, Turn, Turn" by the Byrds, which I've never played before, and I had a little go. It was okay, but it was yeah, it was what it was, you know. Yeah, I found the chords, I found the music to try and have a play to, but I think because I was playing it through my headphones, she couldn't really sing along to it or whatever. But yeah, I found out that she openly, yeah, told me and this other person that she's an alcoholic or something, and she's an ex-officer and all this other stuff. And yeah, and so that was okay. And she got talking to this other person for quite some time, and I carried on playing some more tunes and playing some more tunes. And you know, because I mean, at the end of the day, I've got 52 songs to play. I'm trying to play all of them, or as many as I possibly can, and I'm not really that keen on being interrupted, whether it's taking phone calls or whether it is dealing with people coming in asking me questions or making requests or other things like that. It's really, those are things that I'm not a huge fan of whatsoever. But anyway, yeah, so she still sat there for quite some time, and then she asked if I could play a song called Harper Valley PTA. And I've not heard that song whatsoever. Okay, so yeah, it's really it's a song that I've never even heard in my life, and it was about it was a song about a woman she was a parent of one of the pupils at this Harper Valley High School, and sorry, there's a moth. Oh, that's one of my visitors, by the way, everybody. Welcome to the moth. Don't know what the moth has to do, has to say about on this here podcast. Maybe it'll say, "Oh my gosh, help me get out of the spot." Anyway, but yeah, no. So I don't know. Anyway, so Harper Valley PTA, yeah. So the song's about a young or a mother whose dress is allegedly a little too short and a little too racy for the Harper Valley PTA, and the PTA was saying that you can't really come around to this high school and be wearing that kind of clothing while you pick up your child, because we don't like that kind of racy kind of attire in this here school. To which I think, well, really whatever, honestly. Yeah, who cares? But yeah, no, so I gave it a go. I tried to play the song. It sounded like it was, I can't even remember, it was like, hold on a sec. It was like, or something like that anyway. But yeah, really those kinds of chords from like way back in the day, kind of I've got a story to tell you type song, and yeah, I think it was kind of interesting. So continuing on with where I was playing and what went down on the Thursday, I played in town, and I had a bit of a go in a couple of different spots, but I eventually ended up playing outside of the Piccadilly Arcade, which was cool. Then yeah, Piccadilly Arcade's a pretty good little spot to play. And yeah, I just had a little go, made a little bit of money, and yeah, it wasn't really hugely eventful. No one really came up to me and spoke to me about anything worthwhile. Yeah, there was no major memories made, not at all, which is fine. It is how it is. Then on Friday, I played back at Greerton again, and that was okay. I got there a little bit late because I caught the bus. So I got there at about 11 o'clock, roughly, which is a bit late for busking, for me anyway, for busking. I do kind of find the better time is starting about 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning at the latest, and trying to really just kind of get those kind of late morning type, mid-morning-ish type folks who are, and then lunchtime type folks as well, and then a little bit into the afternoon if you can, sort of, so playing for like three and a half hours, and that's pretty good. And then yeah, so Friday I played there, and then Saturday I played out at Brookfield Shops, just by the Foursquare there. And that was quite good. Some people were just talking to me about different things. One lady said something about how things were going, and I was just said to her, things were okay enough. Could be a little bit more money, but it didn't really matter too much. Paying the bills anyway. And to my surprise, somewhat my surprise, I'm kind of not surprised because it is Brookfield. And people can be pretty generous there. But yeah, no, so I ended up getting quite a tidy wee sum there after it all was said and done. And yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, I just, yeah. And I mean, she said, I said to her, it's always hit and miss. You never know what's going to happen. And she was like, it's like all jobs, and I was like, no, not really. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, with actual employment, you have your pay rate, you have your set hours, you know how much you're going to make, and you're going to be paying some sort of amount of tax, and that's just that. But in this case, yeah, no. The busking, you show up with, I show up with like coins like this, which are just like 10-cent pieces or 20-cent pieces from like Fiji or something. Coins I can't cash in for any reason. And then I just lay them out sort of as encouragement coins, I call them. Actually, one I did find. This one here is a new Australian 10-cent piece. So yeah, it's got the 10 on it. And then it's got the head of the current monarch, which is Charles the Third. And yeah, so that's something that's a little bit different. That's a coin I got more recently. But yeah, again, like all the other coins that I get, that are from other countries, that is, they're really not actually that useful. Obviously, New Zealand currency is extremely useful, and I can most certainly spend that and get on with buying whatever I need to buy, whether it's petroleum, whether it's eggs, whether it's margarine, whether it's milk, whether it's cat food, whatever it is. It's all very, very useful, good coins. And yeah, I like to be able to actually spend the money I get when I play music and busk. But yeah, most certainly busking and it being very hit and miss and not being able to be something I can rely on. I can only play and see what happens. I go there regardless of where it is. I go there thinking I might make $2.50 today. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, if you've been playing for 2.5 hours and you've got $5 down, you've got $5 down. That's just how it is. So there was a truck crash that happened in the US recently. The truck had a dozen research monkeys on board, and they escaped. The university that does the research on these monkeys are not actually doing any research at all. These monkeys are just they're monkeys that people do research on. That is, they do vivisection on these monkeys. Anyway, the university that these monkeys were from, because the monkeys go to university and do research apparently. The university said that the monkeys that were on the truck have herpes, COVID, and hepatitis C. So the police euthanized all of them. And it just makes me wonder what about other possible nightmare scenarios. We've got a dictator in the U.S. Presidential office. We've got climate change changing the face of the earth, and we've got outbreaks of the measles. And here in New Zealand, we've got other things happening as well, extremism and other absolute madness occurring across not just New Zealand but across the planet as well. And now there was at least anyway a truckload of monkeys that escaped from the truck when the truck overturned and crashed. And these monkeys had all these different viruses, which is horrendous. But so it just made me think, what on earth is going on this planet? Is this some 28 days later type shenanigans? Or is this, Sharknado meets 28 days later, or what's going on, so I don't know. I mean, we've got a lot going on this planet at this point as far as our absurd species goes, and that's putting it mildly. Whether it's genocide or whether it's other monstrous wars, or what's going on in Ukraine and Sudan and other places around the world. Just off the coast of Venezuela or Colombia as well. So it just made me think, the last thing we need is trucks crashing with monkeys that are infected with all kinds of diseases, all right? That's not even just my 2 cents. I just think that's kind of really where we need to be as far as, come on guys, let's get our shit together, okay? Come on. Anyway, it's a bit different these days. Anyway, what else happened? There was the Greymouth Fish and Chip Shop. They've been targeted by non-binaryists for selling sausages. These activists claim that the name promotes male anatomy and systemic sausage privilege. the humble fish and chip shop in Greymouth is in the deep fryer of controversy this week after local non-binarist activists called for the removal of sausages from the menu, claiming that the name promotes the male anatomy and reinforces sausage privilege. I didn't know there was sausage privilege, but okay. Sausages are not really a privilege. If you've eaten one, it's yeah. Anyway, the group West Coast Inclusivity for Edible Equality, WCIEE, staged a peaceful protest outside the shop on Thursday, chanting "No more phallic food. Shape neutrality now." Activists argue the traditional cylindrical design of sausages unfairly glorifies masculine form and excludes diners who prefer gender-neutral geometry. I wonder how they feel about dino nuggets. Really, like, what's going on? Group spokesperson Jenny Tills, them, said food should nourish, not trigger. We're calling for all takeaways to adopt inclusive shapes. Something more neutral like a patty or cube. A cube. A cube of sausage. A cube of sausage. Right. The shop owner, Mike Rocock. Oh gosh. Who's been serving battered sausages since 1984, said he was stunned by the complaint. It's a sausage, mate. Comes in a pack. You fry it, you eat it. People are getting turned on or offended by that. That's on them, not me. Yeah. The activists have formally proposed renaming the item to protein tubes. I don't know if you could say protein when you say sausage, mate. Council spokesperson Bruce Dapples, no pronouns there, confirmed the complaint will be reviewed, saying, "We take all concerns seriously, especially when they involve the intersection of shape, symbolism, and supper." I'm not sure if there's any symbolism in supper, but there may be shape symbolism. Who knows? Locals, however, were less diplomatic. Next, they'll be coming for battered salves and saying the chips are too straight. One customer said, dipping a hot dog in sauce with quite defiance. As time, that's a good question, you know, I think that's it, that's where we need to be. Battered sausage or hot dog? What is your preference? I know my preference is battered sausage. I would rather get a sausage, batter it, and deep fry it, rather than having a hot dog on a stick. I'll tell you that. As of press time, the protest had disbanded after a strong westerly wind blew over the End Sausage Supremacy banner, scattering tofu snacks across the pavement. I still wonder whether this actually happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. The WCIEE, they're out there on the West Coast trying to argue for edible equality, and that's quite a feat in its own. It's time for commentary, and on this week's this time it was I came up with things to change this week, and I was just talking about how the bus lanes in Tauranga aren't really used much by the buses on Cameron Road. We do have bus lanes, and we do have buses, but the two don't really cross over so much. The buses tend to only use the bus lanes on Hewlett's Road, and even then, that's maybe two buses two bus routes on that quite reasonable stretch of road. In this case, this is on Cameron Road, which is quite a large. In this case, it's quite a large number of. Well, it's not a large number of buses, but it is an actual relatively reasonable amount of people that are travelling on all of the bus routes that are going along the stretch of road from the Elizabeth Street down to down Cameron Road to 15th Ave or 16th Ave or 17th Ave, etc. Anyway, so I just made a post saying that the bus lanes should be opened for the buses on Cameron Road and not just be opened at peak times, but all of the time. This way the buses don't have to maneuver in and out of traffic. They just be in the bus lane and stop and pick up passengers and continue on with their journey, which they should. The current way for things at this point doesn't work for buses, and they shouldn't have to go in and out of traffic on our main street. Now, some people have responded to this. Some people have laughed at it, and that's fine. Some people have loved it, and that's fine. Some people have liked it, and that's also fine. The first comment here that pops up has said, WTF, there are more buses on the road than people on the bus, which I don't think is true, really. There's only 4 bus routes that use the bus lanes to 15th Ave or 16th Ave or 17th Ave, and the bus lanes only go to 17th Ave, which is not really conducive with being useful whatsoever. We actually need to extend those bus lanes all the way to Chadwick Road, if not Pice Par Road. That's just that, really. We're talking about moving, thousands of people a day to and from Greerton, Pies Par, and Gate Par, Mangatapu, Welcome Bay, and further afield. These aren't just kind of short trips. I mean, some of them are shorter trips for your elderly folks that they want to catch a bus from, say, Pack and Save Cameron Road to their house in Gate Par or something similar or whatever. These buses are there using these services, should be there and should be able to use these lanes. Another person is saying that perhaps they could use the empty multi-million-dollar cycleway, which it seems cyclists don't use. Someone responded saying that it's a great myth, and it turns out that cyclists do use them. Don't let the facts get in the way of that, though. And they were saying that they've been on Cameron Road riding a bicycle, and they're yet to see more than 1 or 2 others, and that's on a busy day. But who knows, really? There are plenty of places, honestly, as far as building a cycleway goes, and building another bus lane also goes in this town. That's something I wouldn't mind addressing in further posts later on. I'm not going to really get into I could get into their argument, I guess. Another person was saying that they also use the cycleway and usually see over 10 other cyclists or scooters on their 3-kilometre journey. Sometimes the cars only number that too. They get used mainly for publicity photos, and then to push the failed agenda, whatever the agenda is. I don't know what the agenda is. Is it Agenda 2025? I don't know. Who knows? They come up with the word agenda and they put a date on it, or they put, this or that on it, and I'm just like, whatever you want to say. Someone's saying here, heard of T3 lanes, or better yet, T2 lanes? No, I haven't heard of T2 or T3 lanes. I'm going to quickly Google that now, because you know what? Sounds like some kind of transit terminology. We'll Google it both. No, I don't want to use them. T3 lanes is a transit lane for vehicles with 3 or more people, including the driver, plus buses, taxis, motorcycles, and bicycles, and is used to encourage carpooling and public transport. These lanes are typically only active during peak hours and marked with T3 signs. Yeah, we wouldn't want to really confuse New Zealand drivers any more than they already are, and we already know that. So we do actually have T2 lanes. A transit lane in New Zealand for vehicles with at least 2 occupants, including the driver. T stands for transit, and 2 signifies the minimum 2 people required to use the lane. These lanes are designed to encourage carpooling and improve public transport reliability by reducing congestion and travel times for those who meet occupant requirements. That would be a good sort of start for things. I think more on the motorway and highway sides of things. But at the same time, here in Tauranga, we don't really have an actual motorway as such. We do have a sort of a highway, and that highway does have terrible design. You get some way along that highway, and there's no off-ramp for a major part of the motorway, and so you can't get up to exit there at all, unless, you couldn't get up there at all, unless you had like an AT-AT, and even then you wouldn't really want to drive an AT-AT along the motorway and then try and expect it to climb up a wall and over a bridge and up a hill, and then, And even then, I mean, if I was driving an AT-AT, the last thing I'd be doing is worrying about where I'm going on a motorway. So the highways in New Zealand, in Tauranga anyway, really poorly designed, poor future planning, most certainly. We've got a massive roundabout, where there needs to be an on and off ramp overbridge, which is an obvious design, which whatever group, council or part of New Zealand Transport foolishly chose and said, let's put this absolute abysmal piece right here for absolutely no real reason. And they've also done a few other things on other parts of the motorway as well. And right now, the transport agency is still charging for a toll road which is heavily under repair. The speed limit is drastically reduced due to so many repairs and so much roadworks going on the road that's constantly there. So it's really is long overdue for the tolls on that road to be completely removed, and in fact all tolls across the country to be completely removed. Taxpayers, we pay massively. We pay our tax. We pay GST on all items, food, whether it's food or gas or food or petrol or anything we buy from the shops. So the tax take is gigantic, and if any government can't budget enough with what they get, whether it's tax or whether it's returns on investment, then honestly, then that government obviously needs to be replaced immediately. That's currently what we've got with the current failed regime. But nonetheless, I don't really want to make this too much about politics. Anyway, continuing on. So we've discovered what T3 and T2 lanes are. And I would say, maybe T3 lanes would be good, but not T2. Someone here is saying no passenger volume in the buses could be worthwhile investigating and swapping out for smaller buses. We'll read this kind of in so they said no passenger volume in the buses, so could be worthwhile investigating and swapping out for smaller buses. We've had smaller buses in this town before, I'm not even sure how that worked out really. They also say traffic usually runs smoothly on Cameron Road, so what's the rush? Parking spaces are more beneficial for businesses. There's really not a lot of used parking spaces along Cameron Road, and so at the end of the day, no, it's not that beneficial really at all. If you want to park outside KFC when they've got actual off-street parking, then what are you doing? There's plenty of other places as well, and you could park down side streets. Obviously, on Cameron Road, there's a lot of the avenues, along the whole thing, really almost from Elizabeth Street all the way down to 23rd Ave. Do these people really consider this? I don't think they really do. Anyway, so the next one was, is anyone reading the room Tauranga City Council, or is it simply that we just have to be like every other city who might actually have an actual population who use the buses? And yes, before you keyboard warriors start, I do use the bus and have never worried about travelling during a relatively quick peak time. I'm not sure what that's about, or whether they're supporting that or whatever. Most of the buses, someone's saying here, most of the buses, they're replying to this person, of the buses have between 1 and 5 persons at a time, subsidised by the ratepayer, which they don't subsidise anything. These are way too big for our city streets. I don't know. Another person was saying that they find it hard to justify a 15-ton vehicle driving a couple of people to work. People are, there's a lot more than, a few people, and they're not always going to work. Some of them are going home, some of them are going busking like myself, some of them are doing other things, Other people, or someone else was saying here, Cameron Road, and then laughing. So anyway, whatever. Another person was saying, how about teaching some bus drivers how to appropriately drive, like using mirrors and indicators and how to merge, etc. Whatever that means, really. That's the sort of the end of the day. These bus drivers have actually been taught by professionals of how to use the vehicles and how to drive, while a good 90% of people who have their license and don't drive for a living, they tend to be the people who have been taught by their parents, and their parents also, I mean, that's the thing is, you teach your kids to drive, and you pass on all those bad habits. So you teach things like you don't indicate out of a roundabout, or you don't know how even to indicate going through a roundabout, or whatever. And I mean, I learned the hard way by failing a test and then asking the actual instructor what they wanted and what I was to do, and then I passed. And it wasn't that hard. But yeah, no. So anyway, someone was replying saying that's funny. They watch every day, and no one wants to let them out or merge. And most drivers in Tauranga are bloody useless, and they don't want to get behind a bus. Which is true. People don't want to get behind a bus. And yeah, but trucks. Apparently, another person was replying saying that trucks apparently don't push in, and they do manage to merge every day. That's a bit of an interesting claim, I would definitely say. Given that, it's questionable how professional truck drivers are, and whether you're going to actually get people behind, have people let them behind them, in front of them, or whatever. I mean, when it comes down to it, and when I've had, especially recently, I got on the motorway, did my thing, got on the motorway, and I got up to speed, because, you're supposed to get up to speed. Remember that, people? Yeah, you get off the public 50k area, you get onto the 80k area, you do 80 k's an hour. That's what you do. You don't do 65, you don't do 50, you do 80. Okay? Or 79 or 76. Okay? That's okay. Yeah. You've got to actually do that. Alright? Okay. So yeah, that's one thing you actually need to get right. When you do it in a specific speed area, do that specific speed, or very close to it. That's just how it is. And I don't mean very close like 10 k's out. I mean very close, like 4 or 5 k's out at the least. You want to get real close. Someone else was replying saying that most truck drivers are professional truck drivers, which is nice to say. Somebody else was saying, have I done a cost-benefit analysis of the impact on the adjacent businesses, taking into account bus volumes and passenger numbers? No, I haven't, because this is only the bus, the loss of a few spaces, which would be a negligible, non-existent impact on any of the businesses along these streets. And that's plain to see, frankly. Someone was replying saying the adjacent businesses will get into their parking places. What cost are you talking about? The lack of parking for cars in front of businesses is what he means. The bus lanes go through the parking spots. Well, it is dumb, but at the same time, the bus lanes don't. It's more the parking spots are in the bus lane, and so you have to get rid of the parking spots. It's really that obvious. It really, really is. And the businesses hold up the traffic where there is no bus lane, and all this probably for 3 passengers a day. Amazing. So 5 buses that go along Cameron Road, some of them to 15 tabs, some of them far further, and apparently three passengers per day for these 5 buses. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But yeah, no. Anyway, so the problem, apparently, there's somebody else replying, was saying that the problem would be solved if would be to take the bus, if people would take the bus. But the buses are so unreliable and so out of date with the schedules. Yeah, I guess, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. It comes back really to something I heard a long time ago, which was that, not a long time ago, sort of recently, but they said that, buses, voting is like catching a bus. And you catch a bus because you want to get near a location. You're not going exactly to that doorstep. And that exactly is really it. Is that's what buses are about. Is you're going to a suburb in an area. You're going to a street or near a street, and you can walk or catch a scooter or something from there. And that's essentially what buses are about, and all public transport, and as in the case of trains, heavy rail, you're looking at, a little bit further back from that, where a bus, say for example, I used to catch a bus from Penrose High School to Otahu, and then I'd catch a bus from Otahuhu to out to Mangere East, and then so the bus wouldn't be that far from my place where I was staying with my mother, and that was okay. But yeah, no. So anyway, so. This person was saying that buses are really unreliable. It's always been an issue because of work times. Buses don't go to where people need them. I mean, yeah, that's true. Buses don't really go to the industrial areas, and that's kind of a downfall of the buses. In Taurunga's case, they don't go to the airport. Which is a terrible idea. They should go to the airport. They should go to and from the airport. They should go down Jean Batten Drive and come through there as well. And they should actually go through the industrial areas so people that do work in the industrial areas can get on and off the bus and catch a bus to work. And that's regardless of whether they're staying, where they're staying, or and what time they start. Really, well, I mean, within reason, daylight hours. Say for example, you could catch a bus from, say, Papamoa at 6:30 a.m. and be able to get off the bus at Jean Batten Drive to go do your engineering job or go do your whatever else it is job. Kiwi fruit packing or working in a food manufacturing place, at 7 a.m., and be there at, say you leave at 6:30, you're at work at 10 to 7, whatever. That's all good. Or maybe a little earlier, whatever. But at the end of all I'm saying is, these places should be served. But at the same time, people catching more buses, less vehicles on the road, that just sort of frees up a bit more space for vehicles like tradies, builders or engineers or road workers or other people that do need to go out and do their job, doing things, whatever it is, whether it's welding on sites or whether it's building on sites or whether it's going to pick up gear, whether it's, laser cut stuff or new fold pieces for a new machine or something else, These things, they're all, very needed. And so that's space for tradies and for big trucks as well, to be on the roads and on the highways and on the main roads. People trying to get places, that is very important, and it keeps the economy, it keeps things growing and going, which is very important. I did respond by saying to this main one that we do have four buses that use Cameron Road, at least 2 15th Ave, which carry a lot of passengers. That's twice as many buses than what uses Hewlett's Road every day. So the case for opening the bus lanes is moving more people efficiently, and is higher, which is much higher than trying to get people to use buses in places like the Mount. Then we should be strongly encouraging people out of their cars and into public transport. So these people don't really understand how buses work. So it's not 4 buses a day, it's 4 bus routes. And there could be, 4 or 5, sometimes more possibly, buses on that one bus route, picking people up and taking them to places. You've got, on Cameron Road alone, you've got one school which would be benefiting from the bus lanes. Then further on, you've got two more schools. So that would be Tauranga Boys College, and then further down past where the bus lanes are not working at all or not installed at all they are Gate Pass School and Tauranga Girls College. And this person seems to think the buses are a complete waste of time. The on-demand seems to follow each other around. I've never seen that before. I don't really understand what they're on about. Someone else was saying that they have a bit of a problem. Anyway, Anyway, I did also respond to another person who was saying, about the cost benefits analysis and all this other typical nonsense. So my response to the typical nonsense, as I called it, was that there's not much loss or cost with the bus lanes already in existence. All we need to do is stop cars from using the lanes for senseless parking. The minor inconvenience will have people parking in other places, which I said, I know inconvenience. In this day and age, whatever shall we do? Doesn't everyone have the right to park right next to the FPOS machine? Which is kind of semi-sarcastic, but also very true of what's going on. So really what's going on is people are, they want their convenience and they want it now and they don't care. And that's cute, but at the end of the day, the city has to function, and the city has to function well. It has to function smoothly. And that means public transport use. And that means increasing public transport use and making it easier for public transport to move around the city. It's part of the need for Tauranga to grow up as a city. It means that people need to actually get real about what we are doing here, and also face the facts that in conjunction with having public transport that does move a lot of people often, and at pace and should be moving. We also really need to get people back into the logical fact that we also need we need housing to be apartments. So that means taking places like the overpriced places and some of the avenues where the berms, the gap between the fence and the edge of the road is almost somewhere you could basically build a house on. And what I actually said to Tauranga City Council when I was at the STEM Fest was that they should actually seek to purchase a block of housing once it gets cheap enough, and actually build 5 stories high and the entire block, and bring it to the edge and have we could have shops in the base, at ground level, and you could have apartments on top of that. Say for example, it could even be 6 stories high. So it's shops, and then 1 2-story apartment, then 2-story apartments above that, or 1-story apartments above that, and so. Yeah, that would work really well. Anyway, some people replied to my comment. They don't even bother going to town and dealing with the minimal parks there because poor small businesses are probably going bankrupt. Buses and bike lanes are taking up car parks, which they aren't. For both the bastards and still not use their own lane. Yeah. But there are car park buildings. But yeah, all I said was, there are car park buildings, and for some reason, even more car parks getting built now, and they're not sure. Well, I'm not sure why. What town they're going to, but they are there ready to be filled, and it's even free on the weekends. Yeah, we have free car parking on the weekends. You can go to the CBD, and you can go and park in the buildings, and you can go to the library, and you can go to other places. You could go and go to the pub, or you could go to the movies. There are movies. There's 2 movie theatres there. Luxie has some good different movies that are on. I saw one called The Humanist Vampire Seeks willing person for kind of self-removal. Anyway, they this person was saying that the Tauranga City Council killed the CBD businesses and took massive hits from COVID. Now they're taking the parking and customers and constant roadworks, and anyway, I don't know, something about a stainless steel bench on Grey Street. I'm not sure how that works. Anyway, so you could. Someone else was saying that you could take the bus if you don't park. Someone else was. They said to me. Anyway, these people are just getting cheeky. Anyway, we'll carry on further. So someone else was saying that I should tell the shop owners to give up the fight for the parking in front of their shops. I'm not even sure which shops would be having the parking. I've seen one rental place, but they have parking outside. But then there's also the parking in the back. There was NZMI, I don't know what it's called, some media place, and yeah, they can, yeah, they don't need they don't need street parking. Somebody reckons that vans could do a better job with a smaller footprint, which is not really how it works. So there was someone else saying it's a city council mess up with no brains working in the council building. We should put a bus stop out front of the council building and see how no parking for cars works. Anyway, someone was asking what route is the NIS bus. Obviously, it stands for not in service. They've tried to search it up, but they can't seem to find it anywhere. Somebody else was saying it's like a ghost town. There's not really too much traffic. Somebody else was replying saying that, do you even drive in Tauranga? Yeah, that's a good question. Somebody here was replying as a Academy Motor Inn. I don't even know where that is. They're a business on Cameron Road, and they've been there since before the bus lanes were installed, and they think they can confirm that the bus lanes are certainly not needed. During construction, we would sit out there with Downer and Fulton Hogan, who run the project, and confirm with them that there was no one on the bus, no one on the next bus, no one on the bus after that, and no one using the bus lane after that. Bus usage has not improved over the past 6 years to justify specific bus lanes. We see this on an hourly and daily basis. Their feedback during construction was their future proofing, but we are probably a generation away from needing them. This is after discussing with the construction team for 3 years on a weekly basis. Anyway, talking to some construction workers who don't actually know who is on the bus, or when people are catching a bus or whatever, it's not really actually evidential whatsoever. When you're a person actually on the bus, and you can see that there are people on the bus, 10 or 15 people on the bus or more, and at peak times after school there's even more. There's definitely a need for the use of bus and cycle lanes, and people need to get places at a reasonable pace, and they can't all just sit in a car with their mums and dads, and they can't all just sit in a or they do actually need to be able to get on a bus with their friends or their siblings, etc., and be able to go from place to place. Somebody else was asking where are people supposed to be parking in Tauranga. That's up to people who want to drive around, really. Somebody else was saying that what if they use smaller buses because the buses are allegedly so empty. That's the thing, is really when you do look at a bus, you can't actually see many people in the bus because you can't really see through the windows. A lot of the time that is also due to the advertising that is on the bus. You can see out but you can't see in, which is a good thing, because I don't want you looking at me when I'm on the bus, and that's just how that goes. these people are. There's somebody else was saying that they were only meant to be a clearway, not an actual bus lane, and the times on the sign clearly state that. But aside from the school traffic, the buses are empty anyway, which is also not true. Yeah. This is evidenced by the fact that I can get on a bus from Greerton to the centre of town, or the other way around, and be on there with 10 or 15 people at 10 o'clock in the morning, or 11 o'clock in the morning, or 2 in the afternoon. If I catch a bus at 3 p.m, then yeah, it's going to be inundated with school kids, and that's just how it goes. Somebody else was saying that the buses don't actually use that lane even if it's empty of parked vehicles, which is what I'm saying, is that if we remove the parked vehicles from the bus lane, which they need to do, then we will have the bus lanes to use for the buses all of the time. And we won't have to have the buses having to merge in and out of traffic and dealing with other vehicle operators, car drivers, on the street. Anyway, they've witnessed many times when driving down Cameron Road, they continue to merge into the traffic lane when they could just drive forward, which is what I'm talking about. So why leave it free if they don't use it? That's what I'm saying. We might have a serial reply, I don't know. It's not officially in use yet, which is why the signs are turned and taped over. I see. Somebody else was saying they want to get rid of the bus lanes altogether, considering so few people use the buses. They are considered, they're saying it's a waste of time. Nobody asked for them. Give back the parking places, which is an interesting viewpoint. Somebody else was replying saying they haven't caught a bus to work. It's standing room only sometimes, and definitely becoming a really good service. I used to think like you until I experienced it myself. Somebody else was also making a specious claim that it's not very PC of this person, and that they're empty outside of peak hours, which is also, as I just said, it's not true. I was just being cheeky to a person. Oh. Oh. I don't know why it didn't. Anyway, somebody else was also saying the buses are empty, allegedly. So why the special lane? I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so they were just saying that, and somebody was replying with, it's because the only time you see the buses in the CBD are outside of peak times, probably. Anyway, so yeah. They want to block all the buses from using the car park lane by law. Okay. That would be really weird, because we don't really have a car park lane. We do have a bus lane, which is currently not used at all by the buses, really. They want to make, somebody was saying that they should get rid of the bus lanes and have a normal lane for more cars. So this person's claiming that we should have another lane, instead get rid of the parking as well, and not have it as a bus lane, but have it as a third lane. So instead of Cameron Road being 2 lanes wide, it would be 3 lanes wide, which is crazy, to say the least. We've got an odd question I saw on Reddit as well. It was how are pickled cucumbers in my country, in your country? And some people, they often ask these questions, but I mean, for me, I've never actually asked a pickled cucumber how they are. I'm not sure I want to go purchasing a pickled cucumber or pickled cucumbers. And that's just because I'm not a huge fan of pickled cucumbers. I'm just kind of more, I mean, I don't mind it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of, yeah. I guess it's good if you're going to make a burger, but that kind of ingredients these days is getting a little bit too expensive for my liking. Yeah, that's just how it is. Yeah. When you busk all the time and you really don't make a world of money, ingredients gets expensive. That's reality. Okay, folks? All right, folks. So this is the part of the show I know you've all been waiting for. This is Ask the Cat. And today we're asking the cat just what you've been up to. What have you been up to today, cuteness? Is that right? Is that right, cuteness? You went outside for quite some time. What did you do outside? I know you were lying in the sun. What's that like? Is that right? So, is it hard work being this cute and furry? Do you So I've been wondering, like, what do you think about the Labor government's CGT? They're coming in with a capital gains tax. Do you think there should be like a people that don't change your kitty litter enough tax? Yeah. What about people that don't buy enough treats tax? Yeah. Do you think there should be laws against people that don't buy enough cat treats? Do you think maybe the government could subsidise cat treats and cat grass and what else and just other forms of good cat food? Yeah. Do you think the government should do that? She's got no answers for us, folks, and that's not cool. But I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm really glad that this is what we're doing. You're a good little cat. I'm glad you're part of this as much as I'm part of this as well. Have you got any purrs for us? No? You don't have to pay us in purrs. Just meows at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's totally fine. Okay? That's what I'm here for. Meows at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey? Hey, little kitty? Yeah, that's right. All right, folks. So, that's it. I want to thank you all for watching. This is me, and that's Cuteness. And she's a cute little cat. And thanks for putting up with us. Yes, that's a picture of Cuteness on my gigantic screen back there behind her. Yes, it's the cat and the cat. The catception. You're getting the catception. Look at my hairy fingers. What's going on? All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll keep you in our thoughts, and I hope everyone in Jamaica has been able to somewhat make some sort of recovery if they haven't been completely annihilated, which is absolutely devastating. I really do hope that things can work out for the better in that part of the world, whether it's hurricanes or whether it's war. I hope everyone can not have to face these horrible things. And all right, folks. Thanks for watching. You can like and subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok if you want to. But you don't have to, and that's okay. No one's going to force you. Unless, of course, you want to get woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning by someone meowing. Eh? Do you want to do that? All right. Do you want to say bye? No? Love you, little kitty. You're the best. Hey, and don't forget, folks, I just want to add that if you have any questions of your own, be they interesting, like, whether, whether I should rate your fridge, or whether you've come up with your own thoughts of possibilities in this world, whether ducks have meetings about quackins or quackenings, who knows. You can email me at ihoaandthebeast@gmail.com. Or you can write me a story, whether it's fictional or not, and I'll read it, and we'll go from there. And or if you'd like to be on the show and we can interview you about whatever it is, whether you've got a product or a food truck or an event or just some jokes. Maybe you're just a strange person or an interesting person or maybe a boring person who wants to be on a podcast. You can most certainly email me at ihoaandthebeast@gmail.com, and we'll make a time where you can join me and we'll talk about some stuff, whether it's how well you played in the T20, or whether your band is playing under the Tauranga Harbour Bridge on Tuesday at midnight. I don't know. All right, folks. So, get at me. If you don't want to get at me, also don't get at me. I'm working on a Patreon, so I know. I'm coming up with ideas where people could pay me to do this. And that's just the world we live in, because you know what? Everything's possible. Everything's possible. And that's just how things go. That's the world we live in, where everything is in fact possible. All right, folks. You have a good time. Enjoy whatever you're doing. And make sure you're doing it well, hey? That's right. Give that motherfucker hell. Sweet as.